Did you know there's something called the fourth trimester? I didn't. But yeah, there is something called the fourth trimester. Welcome back. This is another new episode. We're going to talk about the fourth trimester. So, it's not a medical term, by the way. I just read about it. It's a term that moms use, but most doctors and nurses are now starting to pick it up because it's actually a thing. It's the period between birth and when your baby is about 3 months. It's hell. There are no words to explain the fourth trimester, but I think so far it's the worst trimester of your life. Reason being, you're not just, responsible for carrying a healthy being. The being is here and you have to take care of it and take care of yourself and take care of your mental health and take care of yourself physically and take care of and make sure this baby actually survives. Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot to the extent that after having my baby, I wondered, why don't we have, okay, yeah, I know people actually do have prenatal classes. I'm like, why is it not mandatory that the week before you have your baby, you actually have a class to prepare you on some things that you didn't know about, things that are not written or things that people don't just talk about, things that you find out on your own. And I was like, I remember looking at my mom and I'm thinking, why didn't you tell me all these things? You're just never ready. And then she told me, no, now it's your problem. That's how it is. In short, there's nothing much anyone can do about the fourth trimester. It's up to you to figure it out, and then it's up to you to actually accept the little help that you can get from people. So we'll start with you as a person. You've had your baby. We'll talk about the birth stories way later because it's a whole other thing. We'll talk about it later. It's a lot. So for now, we'll just focus on your baby is finally here. And it's exciting. I remember after having my baby, I was like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And I was excited. I was like, oh, finally we are going to go home and you'll have a baby and it's all, for aesthetics, and we'll dress up and she's going to be my little doll. Ha. Anyway, so finally, your baby's here. And I remember the first time I looked at myself on the mirror. I don't think I will ever forget that. I stood in front of a mirror and looked at myself and I cried. You're used to your body being, big, and you're very beautiful when you're pregnant. You just feel like everything is perfect and you're carrying this thing and it's miracles. All these things are working in your body and you don't even have to put any effort into it. And you feel so good. You feel confident walking around with a big stomach. And then finally your baby's here and you look at yourself in the mirror and you still have your big stomach, one, and your body is shapeless. Shapeless. Okay, I guess it's all the fluids that you get during birth, but you're swollen. I remember I was looking at my fingers and like everything is swollen. My face, my lips are swollen, my feet are swollen. I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, am I just saying my own things? Is this part of, postpartum? Do my eyes make me see what I want to see? Or is this really happening? Like, am I this swollen? Like, what is going on? Every part of your body is swollen. Your stomach is still there. You will probably look the ugliest you've ever looked in your life. But then you keep reminding yourself, I did all this. I did all this for Gigi. I did all this for my body, went through all these things. So again, and then you start, being proud of yourself. You start looking, every time you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't feel as bad as you did the previous day. And slowly by slowly, you start accepting all these changes. And then in no time, you're like, oh, what was I even really mad about? You don't feel like you're that, you're not that attractive anymore. It becomes part of you. You look at your baby and you're like, but then if anyone tells me anything about my body, we are going to have to fight. Because I did all this. I brought a whole human being, that's a lot. It's a lot. And I think maybe as moms, we need to be a little bit patient with ourselves. We need to be a little bit patient with how our body takes time to heal. And I remember after the first week, I'd wake up like, okay, week 1. Why am I still like this? Week 2, why am I still like this? Mama Kanda, you call all these people, they come Kanda nini. Week 6, why am I still like this? When does this? So now I start reading about my body and forget about the baby. I'm constantly like, when does the postpartum body, go back to normal? And I see, 6 months to what? A whole 6 months you're going to look like this. And here we are, Yeah, you forget about all that. You do the much you can. Sometimes I'd grab my yoga mat, and when I just put it down like this, the baby is crying. I'm like, okay, maybe this is not the day. Maybe we start tomorrow. And then tomorrow the same thing happens. My husband is like, if you don't feel comfortable, maybe you can get a trainer. And I'm thinking, I can't even get a trainer because the moment I start training, the baby is here crying. And then because my baby is exclusively breastfeeding, I'm thinking, and I can't just ignore her, I have to breastfeed her. And then with time, I'm like, you know what? F it. Whatever. It's my body. My husband is okay with how I look. I'm not going to be walking around naked. I'm not going to be walking around in crop tops and all these things. You're okay. If you're healthy and you're doing all these things for the sake of your baby. And I mean, you have to give your body a break. You've gone through all this craziness. You seriously need to give your body a break. So other than just looking at yourself in the mirror and having this shock of your life, there's this little being. Oh my God. First of all, just washing the baby. Luckily, I had people around me to help me, so I didn't have to worry about, washing my baby. You look at how fragile she is and you're thinking, will I ever be able to do this? And then something so strange, it's, I think, part of the postpartum depression. People come to help you, and then you feel like your space is crowded, and then you don't want help. And then when everyone is not around, you start crying because you're thinking, why is no one helping me? It's crazy. I'd cry for getting help. I'd cry for not getting help. I'd cry for someone helping me with the baby, maybe washing the baby. I'll cry because someone is holding the baby. I'll cry. You cry over everything. Everything. That's something else. No one will ever tell you. Or maybe if you're lucky if you knew this, because I didn't. I'll just cry over the smallest of things. I'll cry when someone holds my baby and she's smiling, and then I hold her and she's crying. I'll go to the bathroom and start crying. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot that I wish I knew when my baby was here. But it's just now that I look back and I'm thinking, all that was going through in my head. I'd complain about the smallest of things, and then my friends would tell me, oh no, it's just part of postpartum. Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. And now I'm looking back, I'm like, I feel like I was a crazy woman, all these things just make you feel like you're crazy, like you're losing your mind. And then also something else that no one tells you about. Okay, at least this one I knew about. The sweating at night. I remember when I just hold my baby like this to breastfeed at night, I just start sweating. Every part of your body is just dripping. If it's not sweat, it's the milk. Or you need to know how to, I didn't know how to regulate milk on the other breast. So you're busy, you're breastfeeding, you're sweating, you're leaking on this other side. So there's so many tricks that at least I learned along the way. So one of the tricks was when you're breastfeeding, if you don't want to be, expressing on this other breast, you just put your hand across and then it will stop the other boob from leaking. I didn't know that. I knew that way later. And then nothing would help. You buy all these expensive nursing bras. At night, I'm there with my nursing bra, the pad, you're just so uncomfortable. I remember I was just so uncomfortable. All these nursing bras were not helping. You're spending so much money buying things that are not even comfortable. And then finally I figured out a shop with very cheap, half the price. I figured out a shop that sells sports bras for only $700. And you're spending thrice or double the price in another shop for something that is not even as comfortable. So once I figured out this very comfortable sports bra that I didn't need to stuff with breast pads and all that, I was so happy. I was so happy, but it was on my last days of leaking. Like, I wish I figured this, bra way a long time ago. But I swore to, at least enlighten my friends when it came to that time, because you'd spend money on things that are so stupid that you could get way cheaper, and you learn as you go by. So many things no one tells you about, no one tells you. I didn't know. Okay, you read about them, but you don't know how real it is. You're not just producing milk from one hole. You're producing milk from every hole on your nipple. It's crazy. It's crazy. You feel like an animal. You feel like an animal because there's so much going on in your body and no one told you about. And then you're thinking, your rates are like, you're going to be bleeding for 6 weeks or whatever. And then it's week 8 and then it's week 12 and you're still bleeding and you're wondering what's going on. And then something else I remembered about my stitches. So when I left the hospital for like the first 2 weeks, I was okay. My stitches were fine and there was no pain. And then one day suddenly I can't sit. Like, what's going on? I can't sit. Apparently I was using so much cream on the stitch that it stopped being effective. So now it's like the stitches were falling apart. Okay, it's not as crazy as it sounds, but yeah, so now I couldn't sit on a hard surface. And by a hard surface, I mean just something as simple as a mattress. I couldn't sit on the bed. It was so painful. But luckily I did the cyst bath. I think, yeah, the salt and the hot water. And in 2 days I was perfectly fine. And after that, the healing process was very quick. And this is something I wish I knew from day one. Just sit on the damn hot water and salt. I didn't need all these creams. I should have just done the hot water and the salt and I'd be fine. No one told me about it until I was here crying, couldn't sit. And then it was just so, really, like, the fourth trimester is, honestly, it's just so unnecessary. But again, you have to go through these things. And then I remember, yeah, it was time for me to get Mama Kanda because you need your uterus to shrink. I'm like, okay, shouldn't this thing happen naturally? Like, why do I need someone to Kanda me when really naturally it should be happening? Anyway, I was like, I'm going to give it a try because I don't want to be those women who, when it's 1 year after baby, I wish I had a Mama Kanda. So finally, I decided to have the Mama Kanda come to my house for a week. And oh my gosh, the pain, but funny enough, my stomach really shrank at that point because as soon as she left, I stopped. She left and then I stopped tying the belt. I was like, this is so uncomfortable. I don't even want to tie it as good as she does. So is it even a must? Why am I pressurizing myself? These things should just come naturally. Why am I giving myself so much pressure to look like this and that and that? Considering, you moved from a size 6 and then now you're a size God knows what. I didn't even care what size I was. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, there goes my, it's always when your body is perfect that you get pregnant. It's always when you're at your fittest. I don't get the logic, but yeah. So you just, forget about it. You're like, okay, fine. We've moved to size 6. We are now size whatever, God knows, but it's fine. And here I am right now. It's been 21 weeks postpartum and I'm able to fit back to my clothes, and which is not even important. I really honestly don't care about that. It's just the fact that you're healthy and you don't have to go to doctor's visits because there's a random bleeding and there's a random pain here and there. You look at all these things you take for granted, like facts say 6, whatever fits. You just be happy to be in your body and you're able to take care of your baby and your baby is fine. I think those are the things that matter the most. The fourth trimester will really, really, really test you, but it's up to you and how you take it. And I think it's a time for you to, considering you're dealing with colic, your baby is crying and you don't know why your baby is crying. You try all these things. I remember we looked for colic calm, like in every chemist in this Nairobi. And when you finally find it, you want to buy the whole stock because you don't know when, again, the shops will run out of colic calm. And we had everything. We had Colicam, we had Infacol, we had Bonisan. And it's not even like my baby was really colicky. She was fine. She just used to cry maybe when she's fussy, or she'll cry because she's sleepy and she doesn't want to sleep. But really, she wasn't colicky, if there's really a definition for the word colic. But you just panic when your baby cries. You're thinking, oh my god, I got the colic one. But no, really, it's just you, when you give yourself time to just sit back and watch and relax, you realize it's not as bad as it probably seems. I think the hardest thing about the first trimester is the adjusting bit. You're used to just being the two of you, and then now suddenly it's the two of you, a baby, a nurse, and your parents around you. Everyone is trying to, they're cheering you on, and you're not used to that, and it's just so sudden that you don't know how to take all this in. But if you really do accept the help you get, if you take it positively, if it's temporary. It's going to, one day you'll wake up and you'll be looking back at your fourth trimester and laughing about it. I'm not there yet. Obviously, things are better for me right now, but sometimes I look back at some things that were going on in my head at that point, and I want to laugh about it, but it's not a laughing matter because it can get really extreme. But what I would love to tell the new moms, especially those going through the fourth trimester, I know it's hard when someone tells you to accept help, because that's the time when you need your space. You don't want anyone breathing around you. But it really helps. It helps you, because if you don't accept help, one day you look back and you'll see how crazy everything was, and you wish you actually did accept help. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about for the fourth trimester, but I think if you get a good pediatrician, or it's still time to still be in contact with your gyna, thank God for my gyna. He's a very, very, very awesome doctor. We'd go visit him and laugh about things, and and you just feel like you're fine, you're okay, you're doing well, your baby is fine, and you watch other people's videos of their babies, and you're fine. They're doing it differently, their babies are different, but you're fine. And please, we'll keep engaging each other in this, fourth trimester, especially because I think it's the hardest for new moms. It's a time you're transitioning, and you need as much information as you can. You need as much support as you can. And I'll make sure I'm able to capture as much as I can in preparedness for your little one coming to, this world. Thank you.